All right. Hello, hello, hello. I am here with Trish Rollins for another episode of Beyond the Game PE, which I'm really excited for. I haven't done one of these in like 6 months. It's been a while. And I realized that I haven't saw what's going on the PhysEd hashtag. So on TweetDeck, I moved the hashtag PhysEd over to my first column. And I've been looking for things that are out of the ordinary, something that really caught my eye. And Trish's activity, I really think is going to blow us away because it's more than just a one class activity. So I don't want to give it away too much. Before we go on, Trish, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, please?
My name is Trish Rollins. I have been teaching in Northborough, Massachusetts, which is more centrally located. But I originally grew up in West Virginia, and I went to school undergrad there. And then I taught 3 years in Frederick County, Maryland, and then moved up here in 2005. So I've been in Northborough at Lincoln Street School since then. I'm a K-5 elementary phys ed teacher. So I have all my kiddos from ages 5 all the way up until 11. So I get the whole gamut. So I'm excited to be here. So thanks for inviting me.
I love it. All right. So with no further ado, let me share this properly and then tell us a little bit about what's going on. So who do we see in the screen? Do you see a gentleman there?
Yep. His name is Derek. I'm so excited for him. He was able to complete our Magic Club. I've been doing that since I started teaching in 2003 in Frederick County, Maryland. I actually got the unit from my mentor teachers, Beth Schreiner and Coach Larry Foreman. Beth still teaches in Maryland, so shout out to her. And then Coach Foreman retired many years ago. But I brought this to Massachusetts when I moved here, and I've been doing it ever since. And he is only the 6th student ever to complete the whole 26 performance tasks. So it starts off when they're in first grade, and they get a little card, and it goes all the way up from first grade until 5th grade with him. So I'm super excited for him. And it's a brag moment on him. So he was really accomplished. So, and then that's just a little poster that shows all the kiddos the different pathways that we have. So you'll see in the upper left-hand corner, there's like a 1-hopper, 2-hopper, no hopper, and a pop fly. And then the overhead master is another skill set. But all the kids are just practicing the critical elements of throwing in opposition. And then that's their card. So in first grade, they write their name on the top, and then those are all the 26 or 28 performance tasks. So every time they master the skill, they get a little check mark or star or a smiley face, and it helps me keep track of their performances and their successes. With each year is a different little check mark, so you can see how many they've done in first grade versus 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade. So you can see their progress as the years have gone on. So it's a really neat thing. So we say it's like a video game where you master a skill, and then the next year they start where they finished off. So they really get to master that overhand throwing and catching. So they really like it, and I was so proud of him. So that's why I definitely wanted to share with the rest of the community. So,
All right. So
yeah.
let's go back. First, the fact that you could keep track of cards from first grade through 5th grade amazes me. I can't keep track of anything. So anyone,
I always tell them I'm not smart enough to be able to remember the things, but I'm smart enough to know I need to write it down. So, but it's nice for them to write their name on the front. So like Derek didn't start with us in first grade, but some of his classmates did, and they got their cards, and they're like, I can't even imagine that's what my handwriting looks like. So even just the progress of their handwriting is neat to see from first grade to 5th grade, because they really grow and develop, and you remember when they're in first grade having those, and then they're 5th graders, and it's so easy for them. So it's nice to see that progression.
All right, so let's talk about this. What exactly is the 1-hopper, the 2-hopper, the pop fly, the no hopper? What is going on here?
So all of the students, we have the walls all around the gym, and the students find their own open space, and then they just practice the standing in opposition, the pointing, stepping, and throwing to make sure they're leading with the elbow. And it hits the wall, and a 1-hopper, it bounces 1 time, and then they have a clean catch. And then a 2-hopper, it bounces 2 times, and then they have a clean catch. And in our gym, we have blue mats that go around. And so they have to throw it above the mat. So that's about like 4.5, no, probably 6 feet high. So that no hopper has to be on our yellow wall and then catch it without any bounces. So it's coming up from higher level. And then a pop fly, it goes in the opposite pathway. So it hits the ground first, then it hits the wall, and then comes back to them. So it's changing the mind. So it's not going forward or in a counterclockwise way. It's coming in a clockwise way, the ball path. So it makes their mind think about a little differently. But then as they go older, you talk about the physics behind that. Why does the angle have to be different for when it bounces along the ground to get it to come back to you far enough? So we were able to touch base about the different strategies and the physics within the throwing and catching as they get older too. So that's why that one's in there.
Yeah, I feel like angles come up a lot in our class, just naturally. And then, one of our standards is talking about force versus distance.
Yep, exactly.
How that falls into there really easily. I like how you talked about extending there. So let's look at these depth of knowledge. So we have level 1, which would be recall. That's, if they had to explain how to throw it. Yeah. So we got that. Level 2 is the actual throwing. Is there a level 3 of some kind of thinking or reasoning or something that they have to figure out cognitively as they're going on?
Well, sometimes, like I was saying, that physics part. So we have the first level is an 8.5-inch ball. And then the second level is a 6-inch ball. So it's smaller. And then the third level is a tennis ball. So it's the same 1 hopper, 2 hopper, no hopper, pop fly, but the ball gets smaller and they also have to move farther back. So it might be the same skill of the pop fly that they're throwing from 3 feet away, but then with the tennis ball, it's 16 feet away. So they have to really figure out, okay, how do I get that to come back far enough to me? It keeps going short. How can I make it farther back? Is it the force? Is it the angle? Is it how I'm keeping my elbow? Am I dropping my elbow too much? Am I not turning my hips? What types of things? So we problem solve with that. And in the gym, I have a little section where we have the BAM video delay with that app. I have that position so kids, if they're getting frustrated or not finding success, they can go over and just watch themselves perform. And they can say, oh, I did drop my elbow a little bit. Oh, I didn't turn my hips and my shoulders. So they're able to try to figure out themselves, how can I get that to be a better throw? This is what it should look like, and this is what I look like on the video. So some kids do have that when they get a little bit older. How do I make it look better when they observe themselves doing it? So some of those levels are there.
I love it. And I love how that falls right in with the assessment. They can do a little self-assessment there, or I'm sure they can do a peer assessment as well, where they both watch the video and then their peer says, well, here's what I saw. What did you see? That kind of thing.
And sometimes we do what's called a showtime, where they show me that they've mastered it. And that's when they can do 10 out of 10. And then we also talk with showtime. It's a performance. And we are a performance class. You do perform your skills in front of people. If you're a basketball player, you perform your foul shots in front of people. So we also talk when it's a showtime, it's your time to show me what you know. But it's also a time in a safe area in the gym and in my class that they're able to be successful, but they also might be not successful and finding some struggles. And how do you overcome those struggles? What do you do when you don't get it all the time? So we talk about how do you calm your body before a performance. Maybe you take deep breaths. Maybe you have that positive self-talk, like, I can do this. So we even take that opportunity to talk about what do you do when you get nervous for the performance. So we talk about that too, because sometimes it's mind over matter. If you think you can, you will. And then we also talk about how, okay, well, this time you only got to 6. So what could be your goal for next class? I want to try to get 7, 8, or 9. So we also talk about that growth mindset. You didn't get it today, but you will get it. Or I haven't got it today, but you will. So we talk about that positive attitude will carry you through too. So
now, what do you do if someone's so anxious about their performance that they just tell you, I'm not doing it? Or I think
that's okay. If you don't feel like you can do it, you can take a break, or you can have your own personal show time and you can come show me on your own. But I also feel like having the kids be able to cheer for their classmates too is really cool. Like when a kid has been struggling and hasn't gotten that next level, and then they finally do, so many of the other classmates cheer for them and give them high fives and fist pumps, and they really get excited that they can do it. But we actually at Lincoln Street School, we have what's called the Therapeutic Learning Program. So we have, it's our district subset class that have kids with emotional issues. So those kids still do come to my class, and they have anxiety issues and all over the place. So we really work with them one-on-one, what's going to work for them. And maybe the mastery of 10 isn't a real accomplishment that they really couldn't do. So sometimes we modify it and it can only be 5, or maybe they just get the throw, but they don't get the catch. So we work with those students that need a little bit of modifications and accommodations to make sure they do find success. But it's just tricky, and we just find out what those kids need. And if they just need one-on-one with me doing it, that's fine too. So you just got to be a little, we always say you have to be a flexible thinker. And I really do believe that, because really what you want kids to be able to do is throw in a mature throwing pattern, having that step in opposition. And so whatever way we can make that happen. And this is nice because it's a closed environment, and you can really take the time to see, why are they not throwing? Is it that they're not using their elbow in the right direction? Is it that they don't have enough strength, or are they not aiming in the right way, or are they not stepping in the opposition? So when you have like a game situation, you can't always like figure out what the area is that they're struggling with. Where this, you really can observe and tweak those things. So, and the kids really like it too, because how the lesson usually goes is that they're all around the gym. They get to choose where they want to practice. And that gives me an opportunity to walk around to the kids and talk to them and work with them one-on-one. And I can see who's struggling and who's not, and give them a little bit more attention. But it also gives me a time that I can talk to them and just, make those connections too. And so, but it gives you you're available to talk to the kids where they need it. And they can say, hey, I need help with this. And you're available to do so. And they don't have to do it in the game. And they really get a lot of opportunities to practice their throwing and catching. You don't have to worry. Every single student has a ball. And so they have a lot of practice opportunities, and they get to touch the ball. So
yeah, I like that. And I think the idea, when you're getting back of, the art of teaching is really feeling out the students. Like, is this one just saying no because they don't want to? Is it an anxiety issue? Do I try to push them a little bit? Do I pull back? Who needs the class support coming behind them? All these things go on that if you don't have a relationship with the kids and you never taught before, you wouldn't really know these things. I think that's like the nuance of teaching right there, is just understanding your students.
But it also allows you, like Derek, that you just saw him. He is a wonderful thrower. He is very athletic. Things come very easy to him. But in the same class, I have a student that was just started to be able to do the 6-inch ball. So she's been struggling for a really long time, but she's been able to see that progress. And I've been able to give her the same amount of attention and challenge as he needs too. So that challenge and that differentiation between all the different students is in that lesson. So they are working what they need to be working on for them to be continuing to improve their own skills. So it's not watering down anything for some kids, and it's not making things too challenging for others. It's finding that just right spot for where they need to practice their throwing and catching. So I like that about it.
From our textbooks, Jorge Rodriguez is in my ear right now going, that's the zone of proximal development.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like that and he calls it the Goldilocks zone on there.
Yes, exactly.
Like you said, we want to challenge the kids, because if it's too easy, boring. If it's too hard, I'm not going to do it. So how do we go there? So I really like this lesson, lessons, unit, whatever, scaffolding, spiraling, curriculum.
Whatever you want to call it.
Going on here. Because like you said, the variety of equipment. So when you think about teacher games for understanding, that's always in there, and for the games. You have your challenge by choice, which is really good. You have your Goldilocks zone in there. You have the support of the class, which is huge on there. It checks a lot of boxes for me when I'm looking at it with my critical lens of, what's going on, what's wrong. And the equity piece of the different equipment in there is huge as well. So I think you did a really nice job summarizing everything. So I always like to give the last minute or two. Do you have anything you'd like to say to any health and phys ed teachers who may be watching? It might be one person in the next 5 years, but they're watching right now. What would you like to say to them?
I really just feel like I am a female, and I hated when people would say you throw like a girl. And in this they are not throwing like a girl. They were throwing in an immature throwing pattern. All people can throw like a girl, hopefully like me, in the point stepping and throwing. And that's one of the things that I want all my students to be able to do, is to throw in a mature throwing pattern and never have that connotation that throwing like a girl is a negative thing. I think all students have the right to be able to do that. I think all students have the right to be healthy and fit, and I hope that we provide lessons and opportunities for all students to find success, not just the athletes. So even though my Derek was up there because he's a very athletic person and I'm very proud of him, but I'm very proud of all the students, even if they just got one of those boxes checked. They should be proud of their accomplishment as well.
Well, thank you, Trish. I appreciate your time. And hopefully those who are watching will be able to figure out how to implement this into their program.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.